Hello there, beautiful human. Melinda Joy, Crossroads Storyteller, here with a really personal packing/sharing video. My very first video all about my experience. Not prompted by a hashtag or something like that. But before we get into it, reminder for anyone who forgot or anyone who does not yet know, I share a collective tarot reading every month and 7 tapping videos to help us all step further into our most true selves. So if you like tarot and or tapping, you will definitely want to press the subscribe button. And yes, we can get into it now. So first I'm going to start talking about the logistics of my packing situation, and then we'll let the personal shares flow through and flow out naturally as we go. So I'm going on a vacation, the first real, not just weekend somewhere else kind of vacation since lockdown. And that also means it's the first big vacation since my babe was born, and probably the last vacation before the next babe comes along. So yeah, it sort of feels like there's some pressure, or it has this week. I've been experiencing and processing a lot this week. So earlier this week, it felt like there was a lot of pressure on this trip, and I'm learning how to take that pressure off of me and honor that I am enough just as I am. I am as prepared as I need to be. Everything in accordance with divine timing. It'll all work out, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so last time I went somewhere, I went to a wedding to support and celebrate family members. And when I went, I thought I packed my cards safely. I even cushioned them with scarves and stuff, but I did not waterproof them. And that turned out to be a problem. So, maybe I'll talk about that someday when I talk about, I think there's a hashtag about decks that are messed up or have been thoroughly used. We'll see. But for today, I decided to use this lunch pail, which, I didn't test to make sure it was watertight, but I think this is way more secure than last time. So this is the boundary I've given myself, and the amount of decks I've decided to bring have been strongly affected by the size of this container. So how I chose the decks that I wanted to bring. First things first, I do a pick your own card tarot reading every Monday on my Instagram stories, and it gives me a chance to share some of the independent artists I'm most excited about, in addition to providing a small but valued offering to others. And so what I do is I choose 4 decks each year, and then I split them up based off of element, and then I change which deck I use based off of the zodiac sign we're in. So for Aries, I chose the Next World Tarot, and so then since it's now Leo season, I'm also using Next World Tarot. And then when it becomes Sagittarius season, for all of those Mondays, we'll use Next World Tarot. And I got the mini deck. I know in a past video I talked about how I was really happy with the big deck, and I really am. And then I had my first experience where a client just got so tripped up on the words. Here, I'm so sorry I wasn't showing you this deck. I'll do better for the rest of the video, I promise. So, so they have these words on them, like lots of tarot cards do. But I had my first client who just like had so much trouble receiving the reading because of these words. And so I'm going to do the same thing I have planned for my large Thoth deck. I'm going to trim it so that all it is the picture. And then that's the deck I'm going to use with other people. And then I also have a mini Thoth deck, which I'm going to get to soon. And so the mini version of both of these, I'm going to keep untrimmed. And that's how I'll still have all of those references. Or like, I like it. I also appreciate it as a whole. So I want to experience that as well. So it worked out really well. I was inspired by that client to get a Next World Tarot that was mini that just happened to work really well for this trip. So I did mention my mini Thoth. And this is going to be the study deck I bring with me. I so wanted to bring other study decks. The lodge I work with does a lot with the Rider Waite Smith deck, and I so appreciate tapping into all of the very occult in that they're very hidden associations with Hermetic Kabbalah that are in the Rider Waite Smith deck. And I also want to balance out my studies so that I am just as practiced at all of the most traditional systems. So, you know, Thoth is by many considered its own system. And I decided to go with this as the deck I'm studying while on this trip. And so this is the mini version that will also keep its titles, even though the other one will be losing those titles. And part of the reason why I decided to bring the Thoth deck is because I also really want to bring the Creative Liberation Now deck with me. And this is because I do the collective tarot reading with this deck. And so I want it around so that if I decide I'm available to do that reading while in Hawaii, I can do so. In addition to start making tapping videos, because that's what the tapping videos are. They're based off of the cards we've pulled and are an opportunity to further integrate those aspects of our experience. So in addition to that, I'm an active participant in this deck's current experience of life. That was like the weirdest way to describe that. I'm a part of the team that is continuing to give this project energy. I don't know if that was any better. Anyways, I'm not the creator of the deck, but I was around when it was being created and feel all sorts of connected to its authors, its artists. But also am getting to know the very uniqueness of this deck. And so since I would like it to be around for all of the collective offerings, I thought it would be a great opportunity to use this deck as my personal daily draw deck for my own experience each morning. And that it would be really cool to get to know this deck on a more personal, intimate level. Okay, and so how this has to do with Thoth is that I know that the creators of this deck were influenced by the Thoth system. And so I thought it would be also really awesome to study the Thoth at the same time while getting to know this deck, so that I'm also picking up on some of those more occult connections within this deck, because that really matters to me. Oh, and so, yeah, this video that I'm about to describe hasn't been shared yet because this last month I made so many videos in an attempt to make sure there would be videos while I'm gone. And it went over really well, just so there's no glare on that. Does that work? It's like, okay, there we go. My process of making a whole bunch of videos worked really well until yesterday. I burnt out, and the last 2 or 3 videos were just really not the quality I would like it to be. And so, okay, why am I telling you this? Just because this was my experience this last week. Oh, I remember. Okay, yes. So I'm going to keep talking about that with another deck because, yeah, so I made a whole bunch of videos and I was mostly successful. I was excessive though, and also pushed too hard, and found another limit in myself, and found another like degree of embodiment that needed to occur in order to continue growing in my spiritual work. Oh man. And yeah, discovering that boundary and that personal need and that practice that is becoming was a steep learning curve. But one of the more successful videos I made was an Oracle edition of the 10 decks for 10 Sephiroth, because I can't stay away. And I use this deck and explain why I think it works so brilliantly with the Creative Liberation Now deck. And so this is also I'm going to get to know this deck in addition to getting to know the Creative Liberation Now deck. And I just swiped this bag from a different deck because I don't want to bring the whole box with me. So, part of the problems I discovered this last week were because I stopped participating in some of my most useful, magical, mindfulness practices so that I could make more videos or do more packing or whatever other excuse it was that I thought was just as important. And I did not do my breath work with the Rose Alchemy Oracle, and I did not do my emotional visualization practice with the Dark Goddess tarot. This one is by Sandy Humby. I'm not sure. One of those. And this one is by Ellen Lorenzi Prince. And those are two practices that are yeah, okay. that are pretty important to my daily well-being. And so, you know, it's sort of never really a good idea to just stop all of one's spiritual practices. But then on the other hand, sometimes it is supportive in sort of reminding oneself of how important those practices are to one's well-being, and how I at least learned, I discovered new motivation for those practices, for those techniques, and have a new dedication to taking care of those parts of myself. Oh, I think I got a little shaky. Oh, maybe I got emotional. Oh, like I said, it was a steep learning curve, but man, did I learn a lot about me. Luckily, I have a fantastic support system, including friends, husband, and spiritual teacher, and yeah, I had all the resources I need to see myself in my experience and learn from it, which is, I think, the ideal, because we're not gonna get to a point in our lives where we all of a sudden don't have troubles or problems or difficulties. Instead, we're like learning how to experience them more skillfully, right? At least that's how I think about it. Okay, so I'm making sure to bring those two decks with me because I see how important they are to my practice and my current embodying process each morning. And so those are coming with me for certain. And that is all I have room for. That fills the entire... Oh, you know why it fills the entire thing is also because I would like to bring all of the books. So, Next World Tarot, the Creative Liberation Now. This one has all of the affirmations in them. And then I have not yet started exploring the Big Book of Cues, but I'm really excited to do this because one of my sort of agenda items after making this deck more available to people financially and logistically, then my next agenda point is to print the rest of these volumes so that there's a chapter for each and every card, because I think that's a really cool way to engage with the deck. So I'm going to practice doing it with the cards I do have access to. And then this is the Gaia Star Codex book, the Rose Alchemy book, the Dark Goddess Tarot book, and then I decided to bring this Thoth resource. Oh, I can't see her head. There we go. I got this book really early on in my pagan, witchy, magicianhood awakening. And I worked really hard. Yeah, I got pretty far for being a super uber beginner, all the way to page 15. And I was engaged. I was like making notes and stuff, but you know, that was many years ago. So I think it's time to re-explore it and see how it informs my understanding of the Thoth and the creative liberation. So with these also, that is everything that fits in. Oh, this doesn't fit in there, but all of these fit in my, not this way that I'm doing it right now, but when I include this, everything fits in here. And so that feels like I've succeeded in both bringing everything I don't for sure need any of these, but that I feel like I need, and also staying within my space quota. And then in addition to those decks, I'm gonna bring a couple free cards. So the first ones are coming from, here, you know what? I think I forgot to grab the other deck. So I'm gonna lay these out so you have a fun visual while I go grab them real quick. Not gonna lie, that was treacherous. My foot fell asleep. Foots that are asleep are really hard to use. Okay, so the other deck is the Lillian deck. I hope I'm saying that right. And the dyslexic part of me is, always worried I'm saying things incorrectly. But this is the deck I'm using for my Shem working lodge work. And so, yeah, I've mentioned that several times now. So I'll put a link in the description so that if you're interested in 22 teachings and their lodge opportunities and classes, you can find that super easily. So this is the deck I'm using with the Shem working. So I'll bring all of the major arcana cards that are connected to the Hebrew letters we'll be working with while I'm gone. And then I'll also bring all of the minor cards associated with all the deacons we're working through while I'm gone. So I think that'll probably be somewhere between like 8 and 20 cards. And so, yeah, I think that in addition to these cards, which came from the Rosetta Stone Tarot, and they're the cards I'm using this deck for my personal monthly tarot reading. So I do a collective tarot reading for everybody, and then I do a personal just for me tarot reading that I learned how to do this particular spread so that each card in the deck is used for the entire moon cycle experience. So these are the cards that are connected to my current moon cycle experience, so they're going to come also. And what I'll do is I'll just wrap those cards in a cloth, and that will help keep them safe, and I'll put them in my lunch pail and yeah, use them when I need to. So last thing I wanted to show you is the books I'm bringing. So besides the books I already showed you, I'm bringing the Rosicrucian Manifesto by Ouroboros Press. I bet you can find the manifestos other places, but I absolutely love supporting Ouroboros Press because they are my grandparent teacher. They're the teacher of my teacher. And what is Ouroboros Press's? William Kiesel's has a couple classes at 22 Teachings, and there's one on the Rosicrucian Manifesto, and I've purchased it, but I haven't reviewed it or like consumed it. So I'm going to bring this book as a encouragement to follow through with that. And I'm gonna actually use this card to block my library info. But in addition to all of my tarot occult goodness, I'm also a mother, and so it's about time I learn how to non-coercively potty train my almost 2-year-old. So I'm going to do that. This book is specifically for 18 plus month year old. And I'm really into this. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you the author. I'm really into this human's philosophy on elimination, communication, going diaper free, and potty training. I just appreciate their like historical knowledge as well as their practical knowledge. So if you're also a parent, you can explore them. And then I'm bringing 3 journals. This one is the journal for writing out all of my thoughts at the end of the night so I don't stew on them in my dreams. This one is the one for all of my occult notes, lodge notes, class notes. And this is the one for creative things. So I'm also going to bring my really simple markers, Pentel color pen markers, and I'm going to do some processing via artwork and thought mapping. Oh, because I feel like I've been learning so many new things about myself every week since starting the Shem working, and it's about time I like sort of map them out for myself. And then last things, I'm going to bring a couple more ritual items. As soon as I'm done with Lodge this Saturday, I'm going to pack up all of my Lodge related items, which will be my Shem working stone, my Shem working key, the oils I anoint myself with each morning, and I already mentioned the tarot cards. So I think that's probably all I'll bring with me. Oh, and I'm also making an essence for each name. You know how people make flower essences with sunlight and the flower petals? Or yeah, I'm going to make, or I have been making a Shem essence each week for each name with my altar candlelight and the whole Lodge ritual. And so I'm going to bring my dropper bottles so I can continue to do that. And then this is the prayer beads that I made for getting to know my Dark Madonna, Mysteries of the Dark Madonna deck. And I don't have room to bring that deck with me, but it still feels important to bring the beads. So I'm going to do that. Totally intuitive decision. I'm not sure, like I don't have a specific plan, except that it just feels really good when I decided to bring them. And then I'm also going to bring this peacock ore stone, which I think will be helpful for when I'm stressed and just need to like breathe and feel my body and my emotions. I think that will be helpful to hold on to, help me step further into my embodiment so I can process my uncomfortable experiences more fully and completely. So yeah, that's my plan. That's what I'm packing. That's what I've been through this last week. That's what I'm doing with my life. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not positive how many more personal kinds of videos, like how often I'm going to post that kind of thing. But if you're into it, let me know so that I know what y'all enjoy. And if, yes, if you would like to send me gratitude, book a reading, or follow me on social media, you can find a single link for all of those things below. Okay, so many blessings.